just because it's the most recent one, I'm going with the easy 2009 team. Just because, like, come on, you can't not. That's the year that they brought in CC, right? And then bring in AJ Burnett and
And Tex.
yeah, Mark Teixeira comes in, and then you get
Swish.
Swisher was in there. Man, this is a good lineup. Hideki Matsui and DH role, 28 homers, 90 RBIs. Oh, there's just so much balance. You got, you don't have. Whoa, can we just get this team back, man?
I know, man. Dude, the balance in that lineup is
Johnny
something
Damon,
I
dude.
crave, man. I crave for that balance to be in the Yankees lineup today. We had what? Tex switch hitter, uh, Melky Cabrera switch hitter, Nick
Mm-hmm.
Swisher switch hitter, left-handed hitter and Robbie Cano, Matt Suey. It was just insane, man. We had an answer for every single pitcher that was thrown at us. And I think Jeter was batting what 330 that year too.
Yeah,
Jeter was incredible that year.
334.
I think he finished third in MVP that year.
Dude, how just like satisfying is this? Robbie Cano and Jeter both had 871 OPSs on the dot.
Both
And that
over
wasn't even
200
like
hits,
the
I
top
think.
OPS.
Robbie Cano routinely hit 6th to 7th, sometimes 8th.
At 26 years old.
And then the next 3 seasons, he would have MVP type seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was.
You can argue that his '09 season was MVP worthy too. I mean, I think he had over 200 hits that year as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
He
at
did 204.
25 homers, 85 bombs, 320 average, 871. That is so good, man. And then A-Rod, just we didn't even really fully mention him, but 30 homers, 100 RBIs, 933 OPS. This is the type of stuff that a baseball card collector's head like goes nuts about.
Mhm.
These were the types of cards that I love pulling out of, a packet back in 09, 010, or 2010, and seeing just like this team is motherfucking stacked right now.
What's your favorite memory? Okay, outside of the World Series, obviously.
Yeah.
Did you what moment in 2009 did you guys think, yo, that we have a special group here?
I'll jump on it because I was just about to
Yeah,
say
go
it.
ahead.
In May, they had a 4-game series with the Minnesota Twins, and they had 3 walk-off wins. And
Walk-off weekend, I remember that.
I distinctly remember, I know Damon had at least one. I think Damon had 2. I think he had a walk-off homer and a single. And I think
Yeah.
Jeter might have had one too. When that gave me honest, like the closest thing I felt to that again was this year, was 2022. Like that's where we were at. Like when Judge hit the walk-off homer, I mean, I was like Jake, we were at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously I was feeling out of my head and stuff, but I remember like as a young kid like playing baseball with my friends, like having friends who were Mets fans and stuff. Like the Yankees didn't make the playoffs the previous year, and they were like rolling. Like they were always on that 105, 103 win pace. I think they ended up with. And that weekend, I mean, we always beat up on the Twins, but that was a special weekend because like every game, like it just felt like we couldn't lose. Like there were comeback wins, there were gritty like neck and neck wins, but they were blowout wins. Like every game it felt like it was gonna end with with the pie in the face that AJ Burnett was doing, and that became electric. Like as early as that, I was so onto this team.
This team was just full of alphas. Like if you look like top to bottom, and then if you look at the rotation as well, it's CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett, who's just the ultimate intimidator. Andy Pettit had like he didn't even have like that great of a season for his standards, but like low 4 ERA, and then Jabba Chamberlain coming in there. All those guys are bulldogs, and then on top of that, you have Mariano at his prime, just closing games left and right.
Phil Hughes coming out of the pen. What a big weapon he was.
Remember Phil Koch?
Phil Cook.
And then David Robertson at 24 years old, and now he's getting 10 million from the Mets. That's crazy.
I think the moment for me that really, well, you could go with so many moments. Liam, you mentioned all the walk-offs that happened. You didn't
Yeah.
mention the famous "he dropped the ball, he dropped the ball."
Oh my
Luis
God.
Castillo in that game. I'll never forget that one. But the moment for me that really had me thinking, "Yo, this Yankee team is gonna win this year," was May 8th, 2009. Injury. The Yankees were still struggling out of the gate. Remember, Teixeira had that horrible April. Oh, he had always had horrible Aprils anyway. But that day, A-Rod stepped in the box. I believe it was his first at bat, hits a bomb. And from that moment, it just felt like, okay, now we're rolling. This team is going to steamroll through the AL. And that, in fact, they did. I even remember that year, we couldn't beat the Red Sox for like, I think the whole first half of the season. It felt like, I think the first 8 games, we were about 0-8. I could be exaggerating, but I know it was very bad. And then the Red Sox just couldn't beat us throughout the whole second half of the season. We just tore them apart. That was easily the greatest Yankee team that I've ever seen from top to bottom.
That was one of the greatest baseball teams I've ever seen. In terms of complete teams, like our playoff plan felt like it was flawless. Like the 3-man rotation, CC, Burnett, Pettit. Like we went 3 games with Minnesota because we've never lost to the Twins. We rolled 6 with Anaheim and 6 with the Phillies, and it was the same 3 guys we went through. And when we talk about a deep bullpen, like Jabba Chamberlain coming out of the pen, Phil Hughes being awesome in the playoffs, and Alex Rodriguez, having a down season for A-Rod, just casual 30 homer, 100 RBI still, and finally performing, being our best player in the playoffs, like getting that monkey off his back that he had for all those years before. They were as complete of a team as I can remember seeing in all of baseball. And that's definitely a biased take, but it's up there.
Absolutely.
I knew it was over once they got CC, honestly. Once they inked him to that deal, I was like, this dude's coming off of the best season of his career. And he's still in his prime, and he's only going to get better. Like what he did with Milwaukee in 2008 for that second half of the season. Like 1.5 ERA, striking out people left and right, throwing 97, 96 just casually. That's as good as it gets in recent memory, like easily.
Yeah. You know what's funny about, you mentioned CC. I used to hate CC Sabathia when he was on Cleveland, and there was one reason, because as a kid, you thought all of your players deserved all the awards. I didn't know any better. Yo, back in 2007, I was like, yo, if Chien-Ming Wan does not win Cy Young, I'm gonna be furious. All I looked at was wins. That's all I looked at back when I was a kid.
I was about to say every advanced stat means CC wins that year. Yeah. That was one of the best pitching seasons in recent history.
Dude, he was a monster. But I was looking at the wins. I'm like, yo, Chien-Ming Wan won like 18, 19 games in 2007. I was like, he's a shoo-in for Cy Young. And when I found out the news that he wasn't, I was heartbroken. I couldn't stand CC until he put on pinstripes, man.
Man was dead to you.
Rob, my boy, man.
Chien-Ming Wan, man. What a Yankees legend.
He was on that 2009 roster. He was supposed to be our number 3 starter. In fact, I believe he started the season as our number 2.
Was that the year that he got hurt running the bases?
He got hurt in 2008.
Okay, gotcha.
In Houston. And then in 2009, he just wasn't the same. I remember that first week, CC started game 1 in Baltimore. The second game was Chien-Ming Wan, and I believe he got rocked. And then AJ Burnett game 3, and Chien-Ming Wan wasn't the same after that year. So
that injury ruined him. It's a shame too, because he had like one of the best starts to a career for a starting pitcher that I've seen.
In 2009, he went 1-6 with a 9.64 ERA. That's tough. He had a great career. I'll jump into pick number 2, but first I'm going to read off the home run numbers from this lineup. 7 guys hit 20 home runs. The other guys, Derek Jeter, who hit 330, and Melky Cabrera, who who platooned, and he still hit 13, which is as our 9 hitter. Posada 22, Tex 39, Robbie 25, Jeter 18, A-Rod 30, Damon 24, Swisher 29, Matsui 28. Nuts.
Swisher hit 29.
29.
Wow.
And Posada had an 881 OPS, 885.
Yeah.
As a catcher.
Jesus. That team was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everyone had a 120 plus OPS plus.
Were you guys afraid of the Phillies before we move on?
I was afraid of their starting rotation.
Yeah, I was afraid of Cliff.
I was too.
Yeah.
And Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels and fucking the Doc, of course.
And then Pedro had nightmares from too, just because the Pedro had owned the Yankees for a while.
I wasn't worried about Pedro. I had a feeling we were gonna rock him. I was just worried. Cliff Lee scared me because I just dreamed of him being in pinstripes and it never happened.
And it came to fruition in game 1. They got us in game 1. Cliff Lee beat CC. You know, CC didn't do wrong that game, but Cliff Lee just had.
He just did everything right. Yeah.
He was an underrated pitcher in his prime too.
Yeah.